The autumn sun warms my face as I walk toward my mailbox, golden light filtering through maple leaves that dance in the October breeze. My hand trembles slightly as I pull out my phone, tapping the notification that's been burning in my pocket all morning. The university seal appears, followed by formal text that blurs before my eyes. Congratulations, Ella Whitmore. Based on your exemplary academic record, we are pleased to inform you that you have been selected as valedictorian. My knees weaken. 4 years of perfect grades flash before me: the all-night study sessions, the shifts at the campus bookstore, the weekends spent writing papers while friends went to football games. All those moments when I chose work over rest because my parents wouldn't cover what my partial scholarship didn't. 1 BS. And now this. Before I can think better of it, my finger hovers over my parents' contact. Despite everything, despite the years of disappointments, my heart pounds with renewed hope. They have to care about this. They have to. The phone rings 4 times before clicking to voicemail. My mother's cheerful voice plays the familiar greeting. You've reached Robert and Linda Whitmore. We can't come to the phone right now. I lower myself onto the bench outside my apartment building, gaze drifting to the wall visible through my open door. Photos I've carefully framed hang in a neat row: my high school honors ceremony with 2 conspicuously empty chairs in the family section, my college acceptance letter that I celebrated with my roommate instead of my parents, my sophomore year journalism awards ceremony, where Professor Jenkins sat where my father should have been. My mind drifts back to 6 years ago. I stood on stage at 17, the heavy academic decathlon state champion medal hanging around my neck. My eyes scanned the audience seats where my parents promised they'd sit. Front row, center section. The plastic chairs remained empty throughout the entire ceremony. Principal Garfield's hand on my shoulder felt like pity as I accepted the medal alone. The following weekend, I overheard my mother on the phone with my aunt. Madison was just wonderful in the junior varsity exhibition. You should have seen how proudly she waved those pom-poms. Robert recorded the whole thing. Their voices carried from downstairs, bright with enthusiasm they never showed for my achievements. While they drove Madison to dance competitions across 3 states, I sat alone at our kitchen table, surrounded by college brochures, scholarship applications, and financial aid forms. My careful handwriting filled page after page, no parent's signature in the spots marked guardian. Now, I pull myself up from the bench and walk to my desk. My calligraphy pens, a splurge from my first bookstore paycheck, lie in their wooden case. I select the finest nib, dip it in ink the color of midnight, and begin addressing formal invitations on thick cream paper. The graduation ceremony details flow from my pen in elegant curves and precise lines. 2 hours later, my roommate is driving my ancient Honda to my parents' suburb, invitation in hand. My mother answers the door in workout clothes, surprise crossing her features before she calls for my father. Ella, this is unexpected, she says, voice rising at the end like a question. I hold out the invitation, the envelope weighty in my palm. I wanted to deliver this personally. I'm valedictorian. My father appears behind her, half listening as he checks his watch. That's wonderful, honey. The ceremony is next month, I continue, my voice steadier than I expect. There's a special section reserved for valedictorian families. Thanks for watching. They exchange glances before my mother takes the envelope, nodding. Of course we'll be there. We wouldn't miss it, she says with the casual confidence of someone making promises they don't value. I swallow hard, the words I've rehearsed finally breaking free. It would mean everything to have you there. I've earned this moment. My father nods distractedly, already pulling out his phone. Let me check something. His fingers move quickly over the screen. Madison has a college recruitment weekend for cheer around then. What were the dates again? They exchange another glance, a silent communication perfected over years. My mother's eyes shift back to me with practiced brightness. We'll make it work, sweetie. From the doorway to the kitchen, I sense movement. Hannah, my roommate since freshman year, watches the familiar scene unfold. She drove me here after I admitted my hands were shaking too badly to manage the steering wheel alone. In her eyes, I see recognition of a pattern I still can't fully acknowledge: the dance of hope and disappointment I've performed since childhood. I straighten my shoulders, clutching my car keys tightly enough to leave indentations on my palm. This graduation, this speech, my final attempt to win their meaningful attention. After this, I'll be gone to New York, to graduate school, to a life where I won't need to beg for the recognition I've earned. But not yet. Not quite yet. 3 days before graduation, My phone vibrates against my desk. Dad's name appears on the screen, sending a ridiculous flutter of hope through my chest. It's been 2 weeks since I delivered their invitation. "Hey, Dad," I answer, keeping my voice deliberately casual. "Ella," he says, his tone flat. "Listen, your mother and I have been talking." I sink onto my bed, fingers tightening around the phone. Something in his voice makes my stomach twist. "We've been so busy with Madison's college visits," he continues, words flowing faster. "All these cheer recruitment weekends, you know how it is. Honestly, we're just too tired to make the trip." My body slides down until I'm sitting on the floor, back pressed against the wall. My lips form words without my brain's involvement. "I understand." "That's my girl, always so reasonable." Relief colors his voice. "We'll catch the live stream. Promise." After hanging up, I remain motionless, nodding mechanically as if he can still see me. The next morning, bleary from another sleepless night, I scroll through Instagram while waiting for coffee to brew. A splash of color catches my attention. Mom's account rarely updates, but there's a new post from yesterday. The timestamp makes me freeze. 2:13 p.m. Mom and Madison, holding champagne flutes aloft, identical smiles beneath identical sunglasses. The caption reads, "Much needed mother-daughter spa day. Treat yourself." I swipe to the next photo. Dad joining them at an upscale restaurant downtown, Madison between them, all three laughing. Timestamp, 5:47 p.m. During his call. Not before, not after. This isn't about being tired. It's a choice, the same one they've always made. Later, I find myself in the university library bathroom, locked in the furthest stall, phone in my trembling hands. Years of family photos fill my screen as I scroll backward through time. The pattern emerges with painful clarity. In every image, Madison stands centered, my parents leaning toward her like plants seeking sunlight. I exist at the edges when I appear at all, the half face behind a shoulder, the blur of movement, often the one taking the photo. I keep scrolling, methodically noting dates. My high school graduation. Parents absent due to Madison's regional cheer competition. My journalism award. Parents visiting Madison at cheer camp. My 18th birthday. Parents at Madison's summer showcase. The bathroom door creaks open. "Ella?" Daniel's voice echoes against the tile. "Hannah said you might be in here." "Women's restroom," I call back, voice steadier than I feel. "Nobody else is here. Can I come in?" When I don't answer, his footsteps approach my stall. Through the gap, I see him slide down to sit on the floor, back against the opposite wall. "I did some research," he says quietly. 11 Instagram posts. Your parents celebrated 11 of Madison's achievements on days you had comparable ones they missed. I unlock the stall door with numb fingers. Daniel looks up, his expression gentle but unflinching. "They've never seen you clearly, Ella," he says. "It's not because you weren't worth seeing." The words land like a physical blow. Truth spoken aloud transforms from suspicion to reality. Walking across campus later, Daniel beside me, I voice the question that's been circling my mind. What happens if I just accept it again? Keep the peace? "You preserve the illusion of family harmony," he answers, "and lose another piece of yourself." But if I challenge them now, my voice catches. I risk losing what little connection we have. Hannah meets us at the coffee shop, sliding into the booth with her usual directness. "You're spiraling again." "What's the point of accomplishing anything if the people who should care most don't notice?" I ask, stirring my untouched coffee. She places her hand over mine, stilling the anxious movement. "Your graduate school scholarship depends on graduating with honors. That journalism program in New York is your ticket out. This is your last chance to speak your truth before leaving their orbit completely." That evening, Daniel arrives at my door carrying 2 cardboard boxes. "Found these at your parents' house last time I helped you move stuff. You never unpacked them." Inside, family albums from my childhood. I spread them across my floor, tracking the visual evidence of my gradual erasure. In the earliest photos, before Madison was born, I occupied the center of every frame, my parents' arms wrapped securely around me. After her birth, the shift subtle at first, then unmistakable as I was edged toward the margins, eventually disappearing altogether. As I flipped through those old albums that night, seeing how things changed after Madison came along, I faced a choice that many of you might recognize. Do I give my graduation speech as written safe, grateful, Forgettable, or do I finally speak the truth about invisibility in my own family? Keeping the peace seemed easier, but at what point does silence become a form of self-betrayal? The morning of my graduation breaks with cruel perfection, sunlight streaming through my dorm window, highlighting the cap and gown hanging on my closet door. My phone chimes with a notification, the sound now triggering an instinctive tightening in my chest. I tap the screen with resignation. My parents' Instagram post appears. So proud of Madison securing that prestigious summer internship at Coastal Marketing. Our girl continues to amaze us. Number proud parents, number future leader. Posted 30 minutes ago. On my graduation morning. The text from mom arrives as I'm brushing my teeth. Toothpaste foam bitter on my tongue. We'll watch the live stream if we can. Send us photos. If they can. As if my graduation competes with grocery shopping or a casual lunch, I spit into the sink, watching the white foam spiral down the drain like my expectations. Hannah appears in the bathroom doorway, already dressed in her graduation gown. Your sister's calling, she says, holding out my phone like it might bite her. I wipe my mouth and take the call, pressing the speaker button as I continue getting ready. Ella! I'm trying to decide which outfit looks best in photos. Madison's voice fills the small bathroom. The coral sundress or the white one with the belt. I need to look perfect for my Instagram post about your thing. Your thing. Hannah mouths silently, exchanging a knowing glance with Daniel, who appears behind her with coffee. The coral. I answer mechanically. Madison, I have to finish getting. Perfect. That's what I was thinking too. I'm going to tag it number proud sister. Should I mention your validating or whatever it's called? Valedictorian, I correct, my voice tight. Right, that. Okay, gotta run. The call ends. Minutes later, Dad's text arrives. Congrats on being valedictorian. Your mother and I are proud. He couldn't even spell it correctly. Daniel hands me the coffee, his fingers lingering against mine. You okay? I nod, but we both know it's a lie. The truth lives in the shadows under my eyes. Evidence of another sleepless night. 3 pounds lost this month alone. The new stutter that emerges whenever family discussions arise, something my body created when my mind couldn't process any more disappointment. Did you pick up my graduation announcement? I ask, hating the way my tongue betrays me. Yesterday, Daniel confirms, and I added the extra 50 copies you ordered, though I still don't understand why. Because they promised to help with expenses, I say, voice sharper than intended, just like they promised to help with tuition, with books, with housing. Each broken promise stacks like bricks on my shoulders. I picked up an extra shift at the bookstore to cover it. Hannah frowns. That's your 3rd extra shift this week. When did you sleep? I gesture toward my desk, where 2 versions of my valedictorian speech sit side by side, between drafts. The safe version thanks the university, mentions supportive family in generic terms, offers inspirational platitudes about future success. The honest version, the one I revise at 3 a.m. when truth feels less dangerous, speaks of invisibility, of achievement as desperate currency, of learning self-worth when external validation never comes. Dr. Mercer, my academic advisor, stopped me after our final meeting last week. You seem different, she said, her eyes searching mine. My office is always open, even after graduation. I thanked her politely and hurried away before she could see the tears threatening. Another offer of support I didn't know how to accept. 2 nights ago, Daniel found me asleep at a library table, surrounded by discarded speech drafts. Each version more honest than the last, each one more likely to burn bridges I'm not sure I can afford to lose. You don't have to protect them anymore, he whispered as he gathered the papers, thinking I was still asleep. They haven't earned it. The morning passes in a blur of bobby pins and uncomfortable shoes. Hannah appears at my side as I adjust my cap, holding a small velvet box. I was going to save this for after, she says, opening it to reveal a delicate silver pendant. But I think you need it now. The pendant gleams in the morning light, words engraved in flowing script. Your truth matters. Tears blur my vision as Hannah fastens it around my neck. First graduation gift? I manage, touching it gently. Just so you know, Hannah adds with a sudden grin, I bought balcony tickets to this speech, front row for whatever version you decide to give. We laugh, the sound strange and light in a room that's held so much heaviness. In the preparation room before the ceremony, I sit alone, both speeches laid out before me. The safe version, neat, pristine, inoffensive. The honest version, crossed out, rewritten, coffee-stained, alive with truth. Daniel slips in, closing the door quietly behind him. Which version are you giving today? I stare at the papers, at 4 years of perfect grades and empty seats. I've spent my whole life being the agreeable daughter who never caused waves. I say slowly, what has it gotten me? Daniel doesn't answer. Instead, he places my phone beside the speeches, open to my parents' latest post-champagne glasses raised at a luxury spa, time-stamped an hour ago. Just relaxing before watching our girl's big moment on live stream, number self-care. Something shifts inside me, tectonic plates realigning. I pick up the safe speech and tear it cleanly in half, the sound sharp and final in the quiet room. I meet my reflection in the mirror, surprised to find my gaze steady, my voice clear and stutter-free for the first time in weeks. They can ignore me, but they can't make me invisible to myself anymore. Outside, Hannah has worked miracles. Mrs. Polanski and Mr. Winters, elderly neighbors from my hometown who watched me grow up, sit proudly in the family section. They wave when they spot me peeking through the curtain. Daniel moves efficiently through the auditorium, checking camera angles, ensuring the live stream captures not just the podium but the reserved family seats, 3 chairs marked with a prominent Whitmore family sign, painfully empty under the bright lights. Professor Jenkins, who became my mentor after I took her investigative journalism course, quietly moves her husband and daughter to make room in the special faculty section, leaving an open spot beside her with my name. The contrast strikes me like physical pain strangers and chosen family filling spaces. My biological family left empty, their absence more present than they've ever been. My hand finds the honest speech tucked inside my graduation robe, steadier than it's been in weeks. 4 years of documented incidents rest in a folder in my bag screenshots, time-stamped absences, a pattern of neglect made undeniable through simple documentation. As my name is announced, I rise, the pendant warm against my skin. The camera pans across the audience, lingering meaningfully on 3 prominently empty chairs, the Whitmore family sign clearly visible to anyone watching the live stream. I walk toward the podium, toward truth, toward whatever comes after. The university auditorium vibrates with anticipation as I approach the podium. Each step feels like a declaration of war against years of invisibility. My graduation robe, heavy with honors cords, swishes against my legs as I walk. The stage lights warm my face, but my spine remains ice-cold with determination. I place my speech on the wooden podium, its surface polished to a mirror shine. My gaze sweeps across the sea of faces before settling deliberately on the camera positioned at the back of the hall. The red recording light blinks steadily, my direct line to the family who couldn't be bothered to attend. Distinguished faculty, honored guests, and fellow graduates. I begin, my voice carrying clearly through the microphone. The formality establishes my authority, sets the tone for what's to come. I acknowledge the university president by name, thank the academic board individually, professional, measured, deliberate. The audience settles into a silence so complete I can hear the air conditioning humming overhead. They sense something different in my tone. This isn't the typical grateful platitudes of a valedictorian speech. The expressions in the front rows shift from polite attention to genuine curiosity. I take a deep breath. Today, I want to talk about what it means to be invisible in plain sight. My phone vibrates against the podium halfway through my speech. The screen lights up with my mother's name. I glance down at her message. Couldn't you just thank us like normal graduates do? Without hesitation, I lift my phone, display the message to the audience. This is what I received instead of their presence today. My voice doesn't waver. Not congratulations. Not pride, but a request to pretend everything is normal. A murmur ripples through the crowd. In the family section, Mrs. Fitzgerald and Mr. Donnelly, elderly neighbors from my hometown, who drove 3 hours to be here, nod in solemn recognition. They've witnessed this pattern for years. The projector screen behind me flickers with a notification. Someone in the audience has shared Madison's defensive Instagram comment posted seconds ago. My sister always had to make everything about her. Some of us have actual commitments. I turn to look at it, then back to the audience. When you speak your truth, those who fear it will try to silence you. They'll reframe your honesty as attention-seeking. They'll position their choices as more important than your pain. I pause, letting the words sink in. But their reaction doesn't invalidate your experience. It confirms it. The silence deepens as I grip the edges of the podium, my knuckles whitening slightly. I look directly at those empty seats in the front row, the placard with Whitmore family still taped in place. As I stand at this podium, looking at those empty seats that represent a lifetime of absences, I wonder, is forgiveness possible without acknowledgement of harm? Can family bonds heal if only one person is doing the work of repair? From the corner of my eye, I spot Hannah standing at the back of the auditorium, her phone held steady as she live streams. Her free hand forms a small thumbs up. Beside her, Daniel angles his camera to capture both my speech and the conspicuously vacant family section. They're documenting everything, ensuring my truth can't be rewritten later. Professor Jenkins sits in the front row where faculty members gather. When my voice catches slightly on the word family, she gives me an almost imperceptible nod. The corner of her mouth lifts in encouragement, the same expression she wore when I submitted my first article for the university paper Belief in My Voice when I struggled to believe in it myself. Their strategic positions throughout the auditorium create a net of support. No angle of this moment will go unrecorded, no reaction uncaptured. This isn't just a speech, it's testimony. As I conclude, the university president approaches the podium. His handshake is firm, his voice carrying clearly into the microphone. Miss. Whitmore's courage today reminds us that education isn't just about academic excellence, but about finding and speaking our truths, however difficult. He turns to face me directly. Thank you for that lesson. The applause thunders through the hall as I exit the stage, diploma case clutched against my chest like a shield. My phone buzzes again, before I've even reached the reception area. Madison's name appears on screen, not our parents'. Her voice sounds different when I answer, less certain, missing its usual edge of superiority. Ella. She says, I saw your speech. Mom and Dad aren't saying anything, but their friends are texting them non-stop. I remain silent, letting her fill the space. I'm driving to campus, she continues, her voice smaller than I've ever heard it. Alone. Can we talk? Face to face? As I consider her request, notifications flood my phone. Mrs. Baxter, who taught us both piano for years, Mr. Collins from the neighborhood association, even my mother's oldest friend from college, all with variations of the same message. We always saw you, Ella. We're sorry no one said anything sooner. The fortress my parents built around their behavior is showing its first cracks. And now Madison wants to meet without them. Yes, I tell her, my voice steady. I think it's time we talked. Madison arrives at my dorm room 2 hours after the ceremony, her cheerleading jacket wrapped tight around her shoulders despite the June heat. Her knuckles rap against my door with the precise rhythm of someone who rehearsed their entrance. You've embarrassed the entire family, she announces before I can speak. Her voice carries the practiced indignation of our mother's fundraising committee tone. Dad hasn't stopped pacing since your speech hit social media. I step aside to let her enter, noticing how her eyes dart to her phone, where notifications stack like building blocks. 3 missed calls from Mom and Dad flash across her screen. They sent you to clean up their mess? I ask, closing the door behind her. Madison tosses her hair back, the same gesture she's used since we were children playing in the sprinklers of our backyard. They thought you might listen to me since we're sisters. Her voice softens artificially. Look, they'll help with your graduate school expenses if you just post a public apology. Say it was stress or something. When I don't immediately respond, she sighs dramatically. You've always been jealous of me, but you'd never admit it. That's what this whole speech was about. Her final card lands with practiced precision. If you don't make this right, they'll cut ties completely. Is that what you want? To have no family at all? I walk to my desk without answering, slide open the bottom drawer, and lift out a leather-bound journal. The spine cracks slightly as I open it, pages worn from years of careful documentation. This might interest you, I say, placing it in her hands. Madison's expression shifts from confusion to shock as she flips through the meticulously organized pages. Each entry features a date, event title, and check marks under parents attended columns. What is this? Can I know? She whispers, though the answer is clear on the page. 4 years of high school events. I explain calmly. Mine, 42 total. Parents attended 9. Yours, 41 events. Parents attended 39. So. Her fingers trace the neat columns, landing on handwritten excuses beside each of my empty attendance boxes. Too tired. Work emergency. Your sister needs us more tonight. There are journals for each year of college, too, I add, nodding toward the stack on my shelf. Madison's mouth opens and closes without sound. She flips faster through the pages, as if searching for evidence that might contradict the pattern revealed in black and white. This isn't about jealousy, I tell her, my voice steadier than I expected. It's about being treated like I matter, too. I pull a letter from beneath my cap and gown hanging on my closet door. The graduate school in New York already offered me a full scholarship based on my academic record. I don't need their money. The words feel like freedom as they leave my mouth. And I don't need their approval anymore. Something shifts in Madison's eyes. For the first time, she looks at me without the shield of competition between us. I never knew you kept track, she says quietly. You never had to. The sun sinks lower outside my window, casting long shadows across the room when I make an unexpected offer. Daniel and Hannah are meeting me for dinner at Riverview in an hour. You should come. Madison hesitates, then nods. An hour later, we sit at a table overlooking the river. Daniel raises his water glass in a toast to my speech, his eyes warm with pride. Hannah passes fresh bread while describing a particularly moving moment from my address, her hands animated as she speaks. The part about finding your voice when others try to silence it? People were crying, Maddie. Your sister brought down the house. Madison watches our interactions like she's studying a foreign language. She barely touches her salmon as conversation flows around her, each comment revealing another piece of my life she knows nothing about. Remember when Professor Jenkins nominated you for that investigative journalism award last fall? Daniel asks, his hand resting comfortably on mine. Or the time you pulled 3 all-nighters to cover that corruption story for the university paper? Hannah adds, the dean personally called to congratulate you. With each story, Madison grows quieter. I catch her watching me laugh at Daniel's impression of my nervous pre-speech pacing. She studies how naturally Hannah finishes my sentences when I describe my upcoming move to New York. I never realized how little we knew about your life. Madison finally says, her voice barely audible above the restaurant noise. The admission hangs between us until her phone rings. She glances at the screen, then back at me before answering. Hi, Mom, she says, her eyes never leaving mine. A pause, then. No, I'm with Ella right now. Another pause. Actually, Mom, I think you need to listen to me for once. Her voice strengthens. Everything she said in that speech was true. I've seen the proof. The surprise on my face must be evident because Madison gives me a small, uncertain smile as she continues defending me to our mother. When she hangs up, the table falls silent. I feel neither triumph nor bitterness, only the calm acceptance of a truth finally acknowledged. They want a family meeting tomorrow. Madison says, setting down her phone. Dad sounded serious. She hesitates before asking, could I stay with you tonight? There's some stuff about being the golden child that isn't as golden as you might think. Later, as I prepare for tomorrow's confrontation, I carefully place my graduation honor cords on the table beside the journal's symbols of my achievement alongside evidence of their neglect. Tomorrow will bring consequences, but for the first time, I face my family without needing their validation to feel whole. Whatever bridges burn or heal in the morning, tonight I sleep soundly in the knowledge that my truth has finally been heard. The autumn sun filters through my window in a familiar dance of light, but everything else has changed. 3 months in New York, and my walls tell a new story. Instead of empty chairs and photographs, framed journalism pieces from the Metro Journal fill the spaces. My graduation photos show Hannah and Daniel flanking me, Professor Jenkins beaming from the side. I straighten my blouse, preparing for my first day as a junior writer. My phone rings, not my parents, but a therapy podcast host. We're recording in 3 minutes, Miss Whitmore, she says. I settle into my desk chair, notes spread before me. When the host asks about family estrangement, my voice remains steady, without the stutter that plagued me for years. Healing began when I stopped waiting for recognition and learned to see myself. I explain, the words flowing easily now. The absence of validation doesn't mean absence of value. After the interview, I check my email. The subject line makes my heart skip. Speaker invitation, Truth and Personal Narrative Symposium. My alma mater wants me to deliver the keynote address. 6 months ago, this invitation would have triggered frantic calls to my parents, desperate pleas for attendance. Today, I click accept without hesitation, marking the date in my meticulously kept calendar, now filled with professional goals rather than family disappointments. I run my fingers over the calendar squares. No more red X's marking parental absences. No more holding my breath waiting for maybe promises to materialize. The doorbell chimes that evening. Hannah stands in the hallway, overnight bag slung over her shoulder, Daniel behind her carrying a bottle of champagne. Surprise visit! Daniel transferred to NYU last week. Hannah announces, pulling me into a hug. We couldn't wait to celebrate your first Metro byline. We gather around my small kitchen table, 3 glasses catching the light. Hannah raises hers high. To seeing yourself clearly even when others don't. Daniel nods, adding, to your brave new chapter. I lift my glass, throat tight with unexpected emotion, and to building a family of choice when the family of origin fails. The glasses clink, a clearer sound than any validation I had sought for 23 years. 3 days later, a package arrives. Inside, a letter in my father's angular handwriting. I abandoned my own writing dreams at your age. He writes, watching you succeed triggered regrets I never acknowledged. That doesn't excuse my absence, but might explain it. A second envelope contains childhood photos I'd never seen me at 5, receiving a school award, at 7, displaying a story I'd written. My mother's note reads simply, I kept these hidden. I'm sorry. Madison's text arrives while I'm processing these offerings. Professor liked my essay on family dynamics. I cited your graduation speech. Weird, right? Talking soon? Our relationship isn't close but honest now, no longer defined by competition neither of us created. As I placed my father's letter in my desk drawer, neither rejecting nor embracing it, I wondered what true reconciliation requires. Is acknowledging past harm enough, or must there be consistent action to repair what was broken? And at what point do we accept that some relationships will never be what we needed them to be? That evening, I meet with journalism students I've begun mentoring. When Sophia shares her fear of writing about her difficult relationship with her grandmother, I recognize myself in her hesitation. Your truth matters, I tell her, echoing Hannah's words to me, even when it's uncomfortable. I sit at the head table of Giovanni's with a smile plastered across my face, watching my husband of 7 years raise his glass. The candlelight catches in the crystal, throwing prisms across the white tablecloth. Marshall looks handsome tonight in his charcoal suit, his voice carrying across our private dining room as he begins his toast. To Darcy, he says, his gaze finding mine. 33 looks beautiful on you. The small gathering of family and close friends murmurs in agreement. I nod in acknowledgement, my fingers absently touching the strand of pearls at my neck, my father's last gift before his heart gave out 7 years ago. Across the table, my sister Sabrina glows in coral silk, her golden hair cascading over one shoulder. My mother Darlene hasn't stopped fawning over her all evening, adjusting her necklace, touching her arm, leaning in to whisper little secrets. Some things never change. When I first met Darcy, Marshall continues, I knew she was different. That brilliant mind, that quiet strength. Actually, Sabrina cuts in, standing suddenly. Her chair scrapes against the hardwood floor. Before we continue, I have an announcement. My mother's eyes sparkle with anticipation. She knows something. The realization slices through me with surgical precision. Sabrina places one manicured hand over her still flat stomach, her diamond bracelet catching the light. I'm pregnant. She pauses, her gaze locking with mine. And Marshall is the father. The room falls silent. Silverware freezes midair. Someone's glass tips over, sending red wine spreading like blood across white linen. I don't move. Don't blink. My lungs continue their steady rhythm while my brain catalogs every reaction around the table. My mother's barely concealed smile. Marshall's face draining of color. Joelle, my best friend and attorney, reaching for my hand beneath the table. Darcy, Marshall stammers, this is insane. I don't know what she's talking about. But his eyes flick to the exit, calculating escape routes. I recognize the gesture. I've spent weeks doing the same. Everyone watches me, waiting for the inevitable collapse. The tears. The screaming. The broken wife shattering like fine china on Italian marble. Instead, I reach for my purse. Confusion flickers across Sabrina's triumphant face. Marshall shifts his weight from one foot to the other. My mother's smile falters. Before we continue with these Accusations? I say, my voice steady as I extract 2 sealed medical envelopes. There's something you should know. I place them precisely on the table, aligned with the edge. The restaurant's ambient music seems to fade as I open the first envelope with measured movements. Marshall has azoospermia. I announce, sliding the medical report toward him. He is clinically incapable of fathering children. The blood drains from Sabrina's face so quickly I wonder if she might faint. Part of Mia's small detached parthopes she does. The coral silk would look stunning against the dark floor. What are you talking about? Marshall snatches the paper, eyes darting over the medical terminology. Test results from 2 separate fertility clinics. I slide the second envelope toward him. Dated 6 weeks ago, and 3 weeks ago. He stares at me, mouth working silently. The confusion in his eyes gives way to horror as understanding dawns. She's lying. Sabrina's voice pitches higher. This is obviously fake. I turn to her, allowing myself one small, cold smile. Would you like to call the clinic? Their number is right there on the letterhead. Darcy, my mother interjects, one hand fluttering to her throat. Surely there's been a mistake. The only mistake, I reply, rising from my seat, was assuming I wouldn't find out. Marshall reaches for my arm. Baby, please? I step back just beyond his grasp. I had you tested, Marshall, legally, with full consent while you were sleeping off another late night at the office. His face contorts with disbelief. You drugged me? I didn't need to. The words taste like victory on my tongue. Your drinking did that all on its own. Have you ever had that moment when the world stops turning, and suddenly you see everything clearly for the first time? When betrayal becomes so obvious it's almost beautiful in its completeness? I gather my things, purse, coat, dignity while they sit frozen in their shattered scheme. The pearls at my throat feel lighter somehow, as if my father's spirit stands beside me, his hand on my shoulder. Where are you going? Marshall finds his voice at last. I pause at the doorway, not bothering to look back. To file for divorce. The door closes behind me with a soft final click. A memory flashbacks to the 6 weeks before my birthday. I sat cross-legged on our king-sized bed, laptop balanced on my knees. The spreadsheets glow blue-white in the darkness, numbers dancing across the screen as I finalize quarterly projections for Henderson and Walsh's biggest client. Our bedroom window stands cracked open, letting in the scent of rain-soaked Texas earth and the distant rumble of thunder. Marshall should have been home 3 hours ago. My phone remains silent beside me. No texts, no calls, no explanations. I stretch, vertebrae popping like distant firecrackers. The grandfather clock in the hallway, my father's last restoration project, chimes midnight. Each solemn tone resonates through our empty house. Standing, I move to close the window against the brewing storm. Lightning flashes, illuminating our yard for one stark moment. The massive oak my father helped plant when we bought this house stands sentinel, branches swaying. Downstairs, the front door opens, closes. Keys clatter against the marble entry table. I don't call out. Marshall's footsteps move through the kitchen, pausing at the refrigerator, likely for water to counteract whatever bourbon he's been drinking. He ascends the stairs with deliberate carefulness, the telltale sign of a man trying not to sound drunk. When he enters our bedroom, his tie hangs loose around his neck, top buttons undone. The scent of unfamiliar perfume clings to him, not strong enough to notice if I weren't looking for it. You're still up. His words sound too measured, too controlled. Quarterly reports. I save my work and close the laptop. The Peterson account needed adjustments. He nods, avoiding my eyes. Sorry I'm late. Dinner with Richards dragged on. I don't challenge the lie. I'd called Richards' secretary at 7. No dinner scheduled. I'll shower before bed. Marshall disappears into our bathroom, door clicking shut. Alone again, I move to his side of the bed. His suit jacket lies crumpled across the ottoman. I reach for it, fingers finding the breast pocket. His phone vibrates before I touch it. The screen illuminates with a message preview. We need to be more careful. Dee's getting suspicious. The air vanishes from my lungs. A curious sensation spreads through my chestnut pain, exactly, more like recognition. The final puzzle piece slotting into place. I return to my side of the bed, resuming my cross-legged position with the laptop. When Marshall emerges from the shower, I'm typing again, face composed. Coming to bed soon? He asks, sliding beneath the covers. In a minute, I reply, keeping my voice neutral. Just wrapping up. Within 15 minutes, Marshall's breathing deepens, edging into soft snores. I remain motionless, watching the steady rise and fall of his chest. The grandfather clock ticks steadily, marking seconds that feel elastic, stretched to breaking. When the bedside clock reads 1:07 a.m., I reach for my phone. Joelle answers on the third ring, voice raspy with sleep. "Darcy? What's wrong?" "I need your help," I say, voice barely above a whisper. "But this stays between us." "Of course, what happened?" "Marshall's cheating." The words taste strange and neither bitter nor sad. Just factual. A pause. "Are you sure?" "Not yet, but I will be." I slip from the bed, moving to the walk, in closet where Marshall can't hear if he wakes. "I need to be strategic." "Darcy." Joelle's voice softens. "You know you could just confront him. Ask him directly." "No." The word comes out sharper than intended. "I need evidence first. Irrefutable proof." "Why not just leave? You don't need." "Because they want me to break." The realization comes as I speak it. They want me to be the hysterical wife, throwing accusations without proof. "They? Who's they?" I close my eyes, recalling the message. I don't know yet, but I intend to find out. The next morning, I wake before Marshall, dress in a charcoal pantsuit, and leave a note about an early client meeting. Instead, I park across from Sabrina's condominium complex in a borrowed car, Joelle's sensible Honda, rather than my recognizable silver Audi. 3 hours later, my sister emerges in coral running clothes, blonde ponytail swinging. I sink lower in the seat, baseball cap pulled low over my eyes. She jogs to her white BMW, checks her makeup in the rearview mirror, and drives away. I follow at a careful distance. 20 minutes later, Sabrina parks at Austin Women's Fertility Clinic. Something cold and precise clicks into place inside me. Not heartbreak, not even surprise, just clarity. That evening, while Marshall works late again, I access our shared accounts. The password hasn't changed since we married. Darcy Marshall 2018. The withdrawals appear methodical. 5,000 here, 8,000 there. Spread across 3 months, totaling just over $30,000. I document each transaction, creating a separate folder on my password-protected external drive. 2 days later, Joelle sits beside me in her car outside the Magnolia Hotel downtown. Marshall's silver Lexus gleams in the valet section. "Are you sure you want to know more?" Joelle asks, hand covering mine. "Sometimes ignorance is—" "I've been ignored and overlooked my whole life," I interrupt, eyes fixed on the hotel entrance. "No more." We wait less than an hour before Sabrina walks through the revolving doors, sunglasses pushed up into her golden hair despite the cloudy day. She glances around furtively before entering the elevator. Joelle squeezes my hand. "Darcy, I'm so sorry." I don't respond, simply raising my camera with telephoto lens, documenting the exact time and date. "Let's go." I say finally, voice perfectly level. "I have what I need for now." As we drive away, Joelle glances at my face. "Are you okay?" I'm not the one who should be worried about being okay. The words emerge cold and precise. They have no idea what's coming. 3 days after the birthday surprise, the coffee shop sits at the edge of town, far from the polished granite countertops of Marshall's favorite haunts. Steam rises from my untouched cup as I check my watch for the third time in 5 minutes. The door swings open, and a tall figure pauses in the entrance, scanning the room. I recognize Braden Hunt immediately. 7 years since Sabrina's graduation, and he still has that same cautious set to his shoulders. His dark hair is shorter now, touched with silver at the temples. His eyes find mine, and recognition flickers across his face. Darcy Wilson. He approaches my corner table, hands in the pockets of his worn leather jacket. Or I guess it's Lowell now. "Still, Darcy." I gesture to the empty chair across from me. "Thank you for coming." He slides into the seat, eyes never leaving my face. "Your message was intriguing. Why would Sabrina's sister want to meet me after all these years?" I take a measured sip of coffee before answering. "Because we share something in common." "And what's that?" "We've both been used by my sister." His jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. In another life, I might have missed it, but years of watching for the smallest sign of Marshall's lies have honed my perception to a razor's edge. I place a slim folder on the table between us, opening it to reveal the fertility clinic documents. his insurance information highlighted in yellow. Where did you get this? His voice drops to a whisper as he pulls the papers closer. The Austin Women's Fertility Clinic. Sabrina used your insurance for her treatments. His fingers trace the information, brow furrowing. That's impossible. We haven't been together since 3 months ago, according to these records. Color drains from his face. She told me she was single and on birth control. The cafe sounds fade around us as understanding settles between us like an uninvited guest. She's pregnant, I say quietly, and she claims my husband is the father. Braden leans back, running a hand through his hair. Jesus. But Marshall can't father children. I had him tested. Braden stares at me, then barks a laugh that holds no humor. So she needed a backup plan. She needed genetic material, I correct him. And apparently, you were convenient. Silence stretches between us. The barista calls out an order. Someone drops a spoon. Life continues its mundane rhythm while our worlds tilt on their axes. Braden pulls out his phone, thumbs moving quickly across the screen. You should see these. He slides the phone toward me. Photos of Sabrina entering his apartment building. Timestamp. 8 weeks ago. Another from a restaurant. 6 weeks ago. Text messages planning their meetings. I thought we were reconnecting, he says, voice hollow. She said she'd always regretted letting me go. Something cracks inside me, a hairline fracture in the dam I've built around my emotions. They've always made me feel like I was the broken one. I admit, the words escaping before I can cage them. Too cold. Too calculating. Not enough like Sabrina. Braden's gaze softens. People like Sabrina break others to avoid facing their own cracks. The unexpected wisdom in his words catches me off guard. I hadn't anticipated understanding from this corner. Why did you keep these photos? I ask. A shadow crosses his face. Because part of me didn't trust her. Again. He rubs the back of his neck. Last time she took my research notes for her thesis. This time. He gestures to the insurance documents. I reach into my purse and extract a folded legal document. This is a paternity consent form. I place it beside his phone. You don't have to sign this, but if you do... He takes the pen without hesitation. I want to know the truth too. His signature flows across the line, dark and definitive. 3 days later, the paternity results arrive in a sealed envelope. I read them twice before calling Joelle. Braden Hunt. 99.8% probability of paternity. We have enough now. Joelle says, spreading the files across her dining room table. The embezzlement records, the house purchase for your mother, the paternity test. Marshall's company is already investigating. I nod, watching her organize the evidence into color-coded folders. Darcy. She hesitates, tapping a red folder. Are you sure you want to do this? There's no coming back from this kind of exposure. They weren't planning to give me a way back. I straightened the edges of the paternity results. They were going to humiliate me at my own birthday dinner. Leave me with nothing but public sympathy. That night, I stand before my bathroom mirror, rehearsing the words I'll say when I face them. Not in anger, not in pain, but with the calm certainty of someone who knows exactly what they're doing. I want you to understand what happens when you underestimate someone. I practice, my voice growing stronger with each repetition, when you mistake silence for weakness. I've decided not to cry, not even once, not until this is over. In my bedroom, I open the small velvet box on my nightstand. My wedding ring gleams in the low light, a perfect circle of diamonds and promises. I remove it from my finger for the first time in 7 years, placing it carefully in the box. Some circles are meant to be broken, I whisper, closing the lid with a decisive click. The next morning, I call the country club to book their private room, the same room where Marshall proposed. The manager remembers me. Mrs. Lowell, how lovely to hear from you. What's the occasion? A family meeting, I reply. I'll need the audio-visual setup and a table that seats 6. Of course. And will Mr. Lowell be joining you? I smile into the phone. Oh yes, he wouldn't miss this for the world. At home, I prepare 3 identical folders, each labeled with a name, each containing customized evidence of betrayal. I time myself, practicing the revelations in precise order for maximum impact. Joelle calls that evening. The prep work is done. All the legal documents are ready. She pauses. Are you sure you want to do this publicly? We could arrange a private meeting with the attorneys. They plan to humiliate me publicly. I remind her, my voice steady. Seems only fair to return the favor. That night, I sleep peacefully for the first time in weeks. No dreams. No waking in cold sweat. Just the deep, restful sleep of someone who has finally stopped running and decided to turn and face their pursuers. Tomorrow, the hunters become the hunted. Next day, I wake before my alarm. The bedroom glows silver blue in the pre-dawn light. For a moment, I lie perfectly still, savoring the calm before the storm I'm about to unleash. Today is the day. My fingers brush across the cool sheets beside me, empty for the third night. Marshall claims he's sleeping at the office, working late on some critical project. The lie hangs in our home like stale perfume. I know exactly where he is, who he's with, what they're planning. I slide from bed, feet touching the hardwood floor with purpose. The house is silent, save for the gentle hum of the central air. In the bathroom, I study my reflection. No dark circles. No redness around my eyes. I haven't cried once since discovering their betrayal. Not a single tear wasted on people who never deserved them. The steel gray dress waits on its hanger, selected weeks ago for this precise occasion. The color of storm clouds, of unforgiving metal. I slip it on, feeling the silk lining cool against my skin. It fits perfectly, skimming my body with just enough structure to command respect. I fasten my father's pearls at my throat, a talisman of strength. I see you, Dad, I whisper to the mirror. And today, they'll see me too. My phone buzzes with a text from Joelle. Everything in place. Staff confirmed. You ready? I respond with a single word. Absolutely. The kitchen gleams, untouched since yesterday's meticulous cleaning. I brew coffee but leave it black and untasted in the cup. My stomach is steady, my mind clear. I check my briefcase one final time. Medical records in crisp manila folders, financial statements highlighted in yellow and pink, printed emails arranged chronologically, DNA results sealed in their official envelopes, weeks of evidence gathering, organized with the precision that Marshall and my mother always mocked as obsessive. The country club called yesterday to confirm the room setup. The young event coordinator sounded nervous when I specified my requirements. Projector positioned at precise angle, lighting controls accessible from the podium, individual microphones at each seat. "And you're sure you don't want catering?" she had asked. "This isn't a celebration," I told her. "Just water, nothing else." Now, I check my watch, an anniversary gift from Marshall that cost more than my first car. I remove it, placing it deliberately on the counter. Time to shed every false gift, every hollow token. The drive to the Lakeside Country Club takes exactly 17 minutes. Traffic flows smoothly, as if the universe has cleared my path. I rehearse key phrases in my head, testing their weight on my tongue. "The clinic is expecting your call to confirm. I've been silent for far too long. Are you finished? Good." The phrases taste like justice. The parking lot is nearly empty at this early hour. My heels click against the pavement as I walk toward the entrance, briefcase in one hand, laptop bag in the other. The weight feels right. The burden of truth is substantial, but necessary. "Good morning, Miss Lowell." The manager greets me with professional courtesy. "Your room is ready as requested." "Thank you, Richard. Has security been briefed?" "Yes, ma'am. They'll be positioned discreetly as discussed." I nod, appreciating his discretion. He doesn't ask questions about why a woman would need security for a family meeting. In his line of work, he's seen enough drama to know when something significant is about to unfold. The Magnolia Room waits at the end of the hallway, doors closed. Inside, morning light streams through floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the golf course. The projector hums quietly, already warmed up. 3 folders sit at precise intervals around the oval table, each with a name printed in bold black letters. Marshall, Sabrina, Darlene. My phone buzzes again. Joelle. They've all confirmed attendance. Sabrina sounds smug. "Your mother asked if they should bring champagne." A small smile touches my lips. "Let them." I position myself at the head of the table, arranging the remote control and water glass just so. The room's temperature is perfect, not too cold to make them uncomfortable, not too warm to make them drowsy. I want them alert for every moment of what's coming. At 9:47, 13 minutes before our scheduled time, my phone chimes with a text from the front desk. First guest arriving, Sabrina Lowell. I stand straighter, squaring my shoulders. Through the door's small window, I watch my sister approach. She practically floats down the hallway in coral silk, the same dress from my birthday dinner. Her hand rests protectively over her stomach, already playing the expectant mother role to perfection. Behind her, my mother hurries to keep pace, her cream-colored pantsuit immaculate, her golden hair freshly styled. And there, several paces behind them both, Marshall appears. His suit is rumpled, his eyes darting nervously from side to side. I take one last deep breath, feeling a strange calm settle over me. For 33 years, I've been the quiet one, the logical one, the cold one. Today, they'll learn that ice burns worse than fire. I open the door to greet my executioners. I position myself at the head of the polished mahogany table, straightening the stack of manila folders before me. The Westridge Country Club's executive conference room provides the perfect backdrop for what comes next, neutral territory with all the trappings of authority. The wall of windows behind me frames the Austin skyline, bathing me in afternoon light while casting my family in shadow. They enter exactly as expected. Sabrina first, her coral dress tight across her supposedly pregnant belly, golden hair cascading in practiced waves. Marshall follows, tugging at his collar, eyes darting toward the exits. Mother trails behind, her smile faltering at the sight of the projector screen pulled down at the far end of the room. What is all this? Sabrina's voice holds a note of uncertainty. Please, take your assigned seats. I gesture to the place cards I've arranged. We have much to discuss. Marshall approaches, reaching for my hand. Honey, don't you think we should talk privately first? I step back just enough to avoid his touch. Everything that needs to be said will be said here. Sabrina's eyes fill with manufactured tears. I never wanted to hurt you, Darcy, but love happens when you least expect. Love? Mother interjects, patting Sabrina's shoulder. Family supports each other through difficult times. Your sister is simply experiencing a moment of weakness. I allow the silence to stretch, watching them squirm under the weight of their own lies. When I finally speak, my voice comes out steady, measured. Are you finished? Good, because I've been silent for far too long. I dim the lights with a remote and activate the presentation. The first slide illuminates their faces in its blue glow. Marshall's infertility results in stark medical terminology. As you can see, these results from Austin Fertility Associates confirm what I presented at Giovanni's. Marshall has azoospermia's complete absence of sperm. I click to the next slide. And these DNA results confirm that Braden Hunt is the biological father of Sabrina's child. Sabrina half rises from her chair. These are obviously fake. The clinic is expecting your call to confirm. I tap the folder in front of her. Their number is right there. Marshall launches into a desperate attempt to discredit the tests. These could be anyone's results. You can't possibly. I had you tested twice, Marshall. 2 different clinics. I move methodically to the next slide. Now, let's discuss the more serious matters. The screen displays a spreadsheet of financial transaction dates, amounts, account numbers. Marshall's face drains of color as recognition dawns. Over the past 18 months, you've diverted $247,000 from Meridian Pharmaceuticals into this offshore account. I trace the flow of money with a laser pointer. An interesting coincidence that Mother's new house in Westlake Hills cost exactly $245,000. Mother's perfectly lined lips part in shock. That's absurd. I have no idea what. I press a button on my laptop. The room fills with Marshall's voice from a recording. Your mother's house is secure. Darcy has no idea about the funds. No, she never checks that account. Trust me, by the time she figures anything out, you'll be showing and we'll have our story straight. Followed by Sabrina's laughter. Poor Darcy. Always the last to know. Mother's face contorts as her involvement becomes undeniable. Marshall stands, palms flat on the table. Darcy, this isn't what it looks like. It looks exactly like what it is. I cut him off, my voice cold as January steel. Theft, fraud, conspiracy. Sabrina bolts for the door. I step smoothly into her path. There's more, sister dear. Please stay seated. I slide a document toward her fertility clinic receipts showing appointments billed to Braden Hunt's insurance. Insurance fraud is a felony in Texas. I press forward. As are these emails planning how to break me at my birthday dinner. Mother rises, her voice trembling with rage rather than fear. If you'd been a better wife. If you'd been a better mother, I interrupt. Perhaps you wouldn't be losing your fraudulently purchased home. The silence that follows feels like the eye of a hurricane. I use it to deliver the final blows. Braden has filed for full custody rights, with these documents as evidence of Sabrina's character. I gesture to the thick folder on my right. Meridian Pharmaceuticals received a full accounting of Marshall's embezzlement this morning. I indicate another folder. And all of this evidence has been submitted to the district attorney. Sabrina's mask finally cracks. Her tears, real ones this time, streak her makeup as she collapses into her chair. Marshall shifts to bargaining. We can work this out privately, Darcy. We're family. Think of the scandal. There is nothing private about public humiliation. My words cut through his pleading. You chose this stage. I merely provided the spotlight. I press an intercom button on the conference phone. We're ready now. The double doors open to reveal 2 police officers and a man in a dark suit, Meridian's head of security. Marshall Lowell? The officer steps forward. We need you to come with us. Mother straightens her spine, grasping at the last threads of her dignity. You'll regret this, Darcy. Blood is thicker than water. The only thing I regret, I say, gathering my evidence folders, is the years I spent trying to earn your love. Sabrina makes one final attempt, her voice breaking. You can't do this to your own sister. I pause at the doorway, looking back at the ruins of my former family. My father's pearls feel warm against my throat, as though giving me strength. You did this to yourselves. I close my portfolio with a decisive snap. I merely documented it. I walk out, my heels clicking a steady rhythm on the marble floor. Behind me, I hear Marshall being read his rights, Sabrina's sobs, and my mother's demands to speak to her attorney. For the first time in my life, none of their voices follow me. I am finally free. I slide the last book onto the shelf of my new apartment, listening to the satisfying thud as it settles into place. The morning light streams through uncovered windows, casting golden rectangles across hardwood floors that have never felt Marshall's footsteps. For the first time in 7 years, every object around me is exactly where I want it. No compromises. 3 months since the country club confrontation, and I'm finally unpacking the last box. My fingers trace the spines of my finance textbooks, arranged by subject rather than color, as Marshall always insisted. Small victories. The doorbell chimes, and I check my watch. Joelle is early. Just finishing up, I call, folding the empty cardboard box with precise creases. I tuck it into the closet with the other evidence of my methodical departure from my old life. As I close the door, a manila envelope slides from between 2 tax folders, falling to the floor with a whisper. The handwriting on the front stops my heart. For Darcy, written in my father's distinctive slant, the D curving exactly as it did on birthday cards and lunch notes throughout my childhood. I sink to the floor, envelope trembling between my fingers. The seal breaks with a soft tear. Inside, a single sheet of stationery, yellowed slightly at the edges. 7 years in storage, waiting to be found. My dearest Darcy. If you're reading this, I'm gone. Sounds dramatic, doesn't it? But the doctors say my heart can't take much more, and I need you to know what I never said enough. You may never hear this from them, but I see you, Darcy. I see how hard you try. Never let them erase the strength that makes you different. Your mother and sister want a world of noise and emotion and chaos. They mistake your calm for coldness, your precision for rigidity. But I've always known the truth. You feel everything, perhaps more deeply than they ever could. You simply refuse to let it control you. That's not weakness, Darcy. That's power. Be whoever you need to be. I'll love you regardless. Dad. Something breaks inside me, a dam holding back emotions I've contained since that night at Giovanni's. Tears spill hot and fast down my cheeks, dropping onto the paper. I don't wipe them away. For once, I let myself feel everything, the grief, the relief, the vindication. The doorbell rings again, longer this time. I fold the letter carefully, pressing it to my chest before tucking it into my pocket. When I open the door, Joelle stands there with a bottle of wine in one hand and a paper bag in the other. I brought dinner and... Hey. Her smile fades. You okay? I nod, not trusting my voice. She sets everything down on the counter and turns to me, eyes scanning my face. You're crying. Found a letter from my father. The words catch. From before he died. Joelle doesn't ask to read it. She simply wraps her arms around me, and I let her. Another small victory, accepting comfort without calculating its cost. I have news, she says finally, pulling back to study my face. If you're up for it. I breathe deeply, steadying myself. I'm up for it. She unpacks containers of pasta while talking. Marshall's preliminary hearing is set for next month. The company found more evidence of embezzlement going back 5 years. She pauses. Your mother's house has been seized as part of the recovery case. The satisfaction I expected doesn't come, just quiet acceptance. And Sabrina? Lost the custody hearing. Braden has full rights pending the final paternity confirmation. Joelle hands me a glass of wine. The fertility clinic sent a letter. They're offering you complimentary treatment whenever you're ready. Said something about admiring your courage. I take the envelope she extends, adding it to a growing pile on my counter. Choices for a future I never imagined having. To new beginnings, Joelle says, raising her glass. The phone rings. Sabrina's name flashes on the screen. I silence it without hesitation, a simple motion that would have been impossible 3 months ago. To freedom, I reply, tapping my glass against hers. For the first time in years, I feel the weight lifting from my shoulders not because justice was served, but because I finally understand that my so-called coldness was never a flaw. It was armor. And now that the battle is over, I can choose which pieces to keep and which to set aside. I move to the balcony, Joelle following with our glasses. The sun dips toward the horizon, painting the sky in shades of promise. They expected me to fall apart, I say quietly. Instead, I built a balcony to watch them fall. We stand in comfortable silence, watching darkness claim the city. Tomorrow will bring more challenges, more decisions, more rebuilding. But tonight, I am exactly where I want to be.